And welcome back to redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host Mikey, and in today's tutorial we are working on the Granny's Noel throw. What a fabulous idea for Christmas in order to decorate your home or give it away as a gift. Now you will look at the pattern, and it's a free pattern available by redheart.com. There's a link in the more information of this video if you'd like to access that video without having to search for it. Now you will notice that it's asking for Christmas holiday yarn just like so, and you know what, I don't have that in stock here. So you know what, have no fear, Mikey is here because I have some suggestions in order to substitute this yarn in case you don't have access to this. You can always substitute with other kinds of yarns that you can find in the marketplace. In today's tutorial I'm going to be using the Red Heart with Love throughout this entire series. You can also use Red Heart Super Saver. So I've done the math for you in case you want to substitute. In order to do this all in with love, you will need 4 balls of the green, 2 balls of the white, and 1 ball of the red. And Super Saver, just 4 balls of green, 2 balls of white, as well as 1 ball of red if you want to do this entire afghan. So to start off with, we're going to do the larger square in any granny square, so we work from the inside going out. This square is actually not complete all the way, but I don't want you to finish that all the way. This particular video is about getting you started between this point and this point at the end. You will see that the edge is really smooth, but when you actually go to finish you'll see that it's more rough like this because that's part of the design character. So today you're going to be making 13 of these, and I would recommend that if you are substituting the colors, make sure that the outside color on these squares would be the same on these squares in order to make it look like it's standard when it comes together. So let's begin, and I'm using a size H crochet hook today, and that's a 5mm, and then we are using the Red Heart with Love. So let's start off with a slip knot. To start off with, we are doing a slip knot just like so, and we're using color B. So it says with B, that means a color, and in this case it will be white. So it says chain 4, slip stitch into the first stitch, and then to form a ring. So what we have here is that this slip knot never counts as 1. So let's begin. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's form a ring by going to the back to the starting stitch just like so. I just kind of point down like a horseshoe, grab the yarn and pull through, and that'll form your first ring. And what I normally do is take the straggler and just kind of pinch it together so it's around the outside like a donut, and then we're going to bury that in so you'll never see the starting strings of when you started your particular granny motif. So let's move on to round number 1. Okay, in round number 1 it says to chain 3, which counts as a double crochet. That's what it means in brackets. And then it says work 15 double crochets into the ring and then slip stitch to the top of the beginning chain to join. So here we go. So we're just going to chain 3 to start. So 1, 2, and 3. And what we want to do is double crochet ourselves into the center of this ring, and I'm still pinching down on this outside one, and so we are just going to double crochet ourselves around the ring, and a total of 15 times. So what you have here is when you chained up the 3 in the beginning, like I always explain in virtually every granny square tutorial, is that chaining a 3 actually counts as a double crochet just like it said, and what happens is that you should have a total of 16 posts going all the way around the center. So begin to do that. So we just want to go around. What I normally do, this is just my own little preference, is that I don't really count when I do it like this. I just go around and then I just wham in enough stitches, and then when I get to a certain point I will go back and count. It is very critical that you end up with the total of 16 posts going all the way around, and that is including that chain of 3 that you started off with. You will get a feel for this, and if this were me doing this particular project, I would do this and then fasten off and then redo the next one and do all the little sections as like an assembly line. So let's begin. I'm going to count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and what I have is I got to do a few more. 13, 14, 15, and 16. So that includes that chaining, and these are just around the ring, so if you got too much going on you can always shift everything. Let's go to the top of the beginning, chain 3 as it says, and pull through just like that. And so we want to continue using the white again, so we don't want to fasten this off at this point, and let's move along to round number 2. In round number 2, it's got in brackets single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the same space, and then with an asterisk, chain 1, skip next double crochet, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the next DC, and repeat all the way around. So let's simplify this. We're immediately going to single crochet right into the starting where you pulled through. Okay, and we're just going to single crochet like that. Okay, and then what it says is to chain 2, and we're going to single crochet into that same spot again. So moving along, then it says to chain 1 and skip the next double crochet, which is right here, go to the second one over, and it says to do the same thing. So single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. So it's single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet into the same spot. Okay, so we chain 1, we skip the next one here and go to the second one over, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. And we want to continue to do that all the way around, and you will see that it will start to look like it's turning into a sided object instead of a round. Don't worry about it, just keep on going because it'll balance out in the next round. So I'm coming up to my very last one, and at the time right now you should end up with a total of 8 sides that we have, and then when you're done you just have to slip stitch to the beginning where you started, the beginning chain 1, sorry, the beginning single crochet, you just slip stitch it all together just like so. So you will have a total of 8 sides, so it will look like a stop sign at this point, and I'm going to show you how to weave off at this point and in order to do it, and I'm not going to show you the weaving off process in the rest of the videos because it's just lengthy and time consuming in order to show it every time. So I'm simply just going to, I just cut my string, so I'm simply just going to pull up on the string like this, and what that does is that I just pulled it snug and it just locks on top of itself, and I'm going to take my straggler and then just drag it through sideways through the stitches. And what happens when you do this is that the next round will grab onto that, securing it completely in place. So sometimes I normally go over and do it, but in this case I want to go to the side because I don't want to wreck the actual appearance of this. And so what I just do is that I do that for about an inch, maybe sometimes 2 inches, going backward in order to, like going back from where I came, in order to lock this in a position. So that's how I would weave in my strings every time I'm changing color. And then what I would do is wait before you trim it and do the next round first, and then it will lock into place, and then you can safely trim this so it's completely hidden at this point. So here's where we are at this point. We've done the center point just like you see. So as I mentioned, if this were me, I would do all 13 of these little pieces first and then move on to the next level and do all of those and work it like an assembly line. Therefore you don't have to keep reading the instructions because you can remember the steps that you're doing. So let's move along. We're going to now cast on or fasten on the green just like you see here and move along, and you can see that the points are working out just like you would see here. So it's going to pull out and make this into being really fabulous. So let's do that next. So to begin, we're going to be fastening on, and we're going to be fastening on so it's in the center just like so. This is where we're going to be going, and then when we jump over we're going to start our first corner just like so, and then center corner, center corner. So just a lot of people always assume that we always start off in the corner, but in this particular pattern we're starting off right in the center when it comes to this round. So to start off with, we need to look for a chain 2 space, and the chain 2 space in these are the single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the center. That is a chain 2 space. Using our green, we just want to form a loop just like so. There's no knots in that. Just go into the chain 2 space and pull the loop through. Okay, and we're going to let the one string just fall down. We simply now want to chain 1, and then it says single crochet into the same spot, so we just come underneath and single crochet. So that is the center point of your project. So what we have here is that we want to chain 1. So we're going to chain 1 every time we finish off the center, and we go to the next chain 2 space where we form our first corner. So that right here, this is the chain 1. We just look for the 2 single crochets together because the chain 2 is right above it, and we want to do 3 double crochets together into the same spot. And we are turning a corner, so we're going to be chaining 2 at this point. 1 and 2, coming into the same spot, 3 more double crochets. So after you've done that, chain 1 and then come into the next chain 2 space, which is the center point, do a single crochet, then chain 1. And now we're on to the next corner. So you can see that the corners are starting to form, and that's in the chain 2 space, the very next one that you can see. So there's 3 double crochets, 2 chain, 3 double crochet, and in my particular lingo I call that the 3-2-3 configuration. I don't know where I came up with that, but that's just my own talk. It just makes sense for me. So here we go. So we got the next corner done. So once you have done that, chain 1, the next chain 2 space is the center, so single crochet, chain 1, and let's do the next corner. So it's the 3-2-3 configuration. Remember, crochet is all about your personal style and what works for you. You know, just what works for me may not work for you. So you have to find your own rhythm and things that make sense. Okay, so we're just working on a corner, and then after you've done the corner, chain 1. Next space is in the middle, chain 1, and then your final corner here. And the corners are always 3-2-3 on this particular one. On the other smaller ones, the corners are not all the same. So just be aware of that when you're doing the larger or the smaller corners. So we have our final corner done. So we chain 1 and we slip stitch to the single crochet that we started off with, just like so, and we fasten off the green. So fasten off the green just like I've showed you in the white, and let's move along, and we're gonna fasten on red next. So we're now going to fasten on the color red, and the color red is being fastened on the corner. So the chaining of 3 is actually the first one, and then there's 2 double crochets, and then etc. So we're going to be fastening on this, going all the way around. I'm going to get you started. I'm not going to take you all the way around and get you started, just so that you can. So let's let's fasten on the color red, and the color red is fastened in on the corner just like you see here. The chaining of 3 is one of the posts here, and then the next 2 are part of the same family, and then we turn the corner and come around. So in this part I'm gonna just get you started so that you see that there's a pattern, and then you can finish the next the final of this round on your own. So to begin, we're just going to form a loop just like you did before, and it says to come into the chain 2 space. That is the corner. Okay, these are chaining 1 in between, so it must be the corner, and we're just going to pull it around, and then I'm going to drop the straggler piece down, and I'm going to chain up 3. So 1, 2, and 3, and that counts as a post, just like you see. So what we begin to go is that it says to 2 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. Because this is the corner and because we just fastened on, that's why you see 2 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, but the rest of it are 3, 2, 3, just like we did in the green. So just let's do that. So 2 double crochets. Now what you'll see here, the straggler, you want to make sure you come down on top of it and go around it in order to secure it underneath. And so we're turning, so it's chaining 2, come back down into the same spot for 3 more double crochets. So this whole straggler has been caught underneath this whole configuration. So if you can see that it's stuck underneath, and so then you can safely trim that at the end, and you don't have to worry about it falling out. So now we're going to be working in these spaces that are in between. So we simply now just chain 1 and then 3 double crochets into each one of the spaces. So this is a typical granny square at this point. So chain 1, going into the next. Okay, I call this the runway. That's just my own lingo when I'm working on this stuff. And now we just chain 1 before starting the corner. We come into the corner piece and do our 3-2-3 configuration. So 3 double crochet, 2 chain, 3 double crochet, all into the same. And just continue to do the same thing going all the way around just like you saw here. And I'll meet you back up in just a few seconds where we'll have this done, and we'll fasten this off and move on to our next color. So I'm coming all the way back around. I'm just finalizing the runway, the pieces the piece in between the corners. I call that the runway. Oops, caught my yarn in there. And so this green here, do you see how I weaved it across from the end over? And essentially I'm just catching that into position as I'm going over top of it, so I can safely cut that. And then to finalize off, we just chain 1 and then we just slip stitch it to the top of the chain 3 that we started out with on this side, and now we fasten off red. So fasten off, and we're gonna join the color white. So begin to do that next. Okay, so here's what we have at this point. The red is done, and now we have 2 layers of white. So you can see that it's just a regular here, and then there's something kind of funky going on the top here in order to make it all work together. So let's fasten on the color white at this point. And the color white is just exactly what you just did in the row below, and we are going to fasten it onto a chain 2 space. So in actual fact, this is the way that we have been working on it. So what I want you to do is that I want you to turn it over so it's away from you. Okay, you will notice that crochet naturally has a bowl shape that it wants to fold up. So that's the side, the right side, and so now you want to turn it around so that the stitches look like this. So we're working on the back side for this particular revolution and coming into a corner like so, and we want to do the chaining of 3. So 1, 2, and 3, and then bring the straggler down, and we want to do this same that we just did on the last row. So there's 2 more double crochets. They're turning a corner, chain 2, coming down back into the same spot for 3 double crochets. So that's how we start off. So the regular corners, again, just like it would be in the red, where 3, 2, 3, 3 double crochets, 2 chain, 3 double crochet, and then chaining 1, and then we come into the gap space for 3 double crochets, and you do that all the way across. So why would you have turned it over? It's just a visual look of a change that is really appealing in this particular motif. When you turn it over, you basically have like a front of the afghan that looks so now we come into the pieces just like so. We're gonna do 3 double crochets into each gap space, chaining 1 in between, and we do this in every gap going across to the next corner. So we did turn it around backwards. It's just a visual look of a change for the granny square. So instead of the granny square all looking like it's the same stitches on top, they actually look like they're slightly different, which is a kind of an appealing look when it comes to granny squares. So that's a choice that you can make up to yourself really. Again, it's a design character for this particular afghan. So I'm just following the pattern just like you see. So I'm coming all the way across just like that. So the corners 3, 2, 3, so 3 double crochet, 2 chain, 3 double crochets, and then essentially you're gonna go all the way around just like we did on the first side there. And when we come back, I'm gonna just finish off this round with you. So continue to do that. I'll meet you back up in a second where we'll have the white, and don't fasten it off. We're gonna continue the white for 1 more revolution after this. So I'm just coming all the way back around and just finishing off the final spacing area. So it was the 3 double crochets. I want to chain 1, and then I want to join it to the top of the chain 3 that we started off with, and pull it through. That's just a slip stitch to join it, just like so. So there's what we have. What I need you to do at this point now is to turn the square around again. I'm going to trim these afterward, and we're going to move up to round number 6 at this point. So we simply now just chain 1, and now we just turn it. So we're going to turn it back to the way that we were working. We're going to trim all these loose ends afterward. No big deal. Says we've already chained 1, so 2 single crochets into the next chain 1 space, which is right here. So we're moving back in this direction here. So we're going to do 2 single crochets into that. Okay, and then it says to chain 2, 1 and 2, and then 2 single crochets into the next chain 1 space 3 times. So here's what we have. So we're doing 2 single crochets into each spacing here, chain 2. So we're basically chaining 2 to get over top, and then we go to the next space for 2 single crochets. Chaining 2 gets us across this group, and we just simply single crochet twice into every gap space. So chaining 2 again, so it gets us over top of the next one, and we go into here for 2 single crochets. So we want to do that all the way across. So we're coming up to the end, so we're just gonna chain 2, 1 and 2, come into the end for 1 single crochet, okay, and then it says 2 chain 2, so 1 and 2, just like you see there. And now we want to turn the corner at this particular point, and we want to just single crochet once. Okay, so we have single crochet, chain 2, single crochet all into the corner, and now we chain 2 again, so 1 and 2, and we're doing that because we want to jump over this gap, and then 2 single crochets. So just 2 single crochets going across into every gap. Chaining 2 gets you across this section, and then on the corner, so remember it's single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, all within the same space going around the corner. So continue that. We'll meet back up in a sec. We're done with the white after this round, so we're going to be fastening it off in just a few seconds. And we're coming all the way back around again, and we are doing 2 single crochets into this gap, and then we started off in the corner just over here, so we have to make sure we get back over there. So just chaining 2 jumps us over this space here. We're finally in the corner, so it's single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and this is, you can see how it's kind of steps up because that's where we started, and the chain 2 is your final, and then you just slip stitch it to the beginning single crochet that you started off with, just like so. So now your white is really completely done. So fasten off that. We'll meet back up in a second. We're going to fasten on green for the final 2 revolutions of this particular video. So here's where we are at this point. We've got the white done on both, and now the green is kind of a bit fussy, and it took me a bit to getting used to the green here. And essentially we're going to start off into the corner, and what we have to do is just really follow me closely in order to understand where this first stitch goes. You will see that there's 2 double crochets into every gap space, and then there's 1 double crochet into each. So just like you see here, so the gap space would have 2 double crochets, and the next 2 single crochets would have double crochets in it, just like so, until you get back to the other side where you just have to follow it. It's actually very easy. So what you're looking at here is 2 rounds. You have double crochet in the first round, and then single crochet in order to finalize this square off for this particular moment. To start off with, you're now going to get your green, and you're just going to go right into the gap space, the chain 2 gap space right in the end. It's a corner piece, just like you see here. And what we want to do is want to chain up 3. So 1, 2 and 3, just how we've been starting them all along. And then we want to do a double crochet and then chain 2 double crochet into the same spot. So this is a little bit different. You remember how we've been doing 3 double crochets in the corner. In this case we only want to do 2 instead. So let's do 1 more double crochet and then chain 2, and then 2 more double crochets into the same spot. So the corner is just slightly changed for this revolution. Okay, so now all of those words that you kind of see here is that we want to double crochet into the first single crochet, then 2 double crochet into the next chain space, and then double crochet into the next. Okay, so what we have here, this is where you need to really pay attention, is right here. Now you can bury this straggler continuing along the line if you wish. So your first one, if you pull it up like this, is right here. It's right sitting underneath. That's your first stitch. And I skipped that when I was doing it in my sample, and I didn't realize that I was missing it because it looks like it's buried up underneath. So you have your corner, your first single crochet, which is right there, and then 2 single crochets, sorry, 2 double crochets into the next chain 2 space. So now you have your 2 double or single crochets left underneath, so you put 1 double crochet into each, just like you see. Okay, so that's the next gap space, so 2 double crochets into that space. So it's really no big deal. All of those words is basically so simple when you see it done here. So you have 2 single crochets, so each one will get 1 double crochet each. So continue along to do that. I'll meet you back up on the other side of this row here, and I'll show you how to turn the corner and then let you be doing the rest of the round on your own. So I'm on the final gap space before we hit the corner, and remember every gap gets 2 double crochets. So you have to remember that you have to get this single crochet in before you go to the corner. It's the last one, and it's only 1 there. Okay, everything else has been in groups of 2, just like you see here. This only has one, and it has only one on the other side, just like you see. So you gotta make sure you're matching that. And so to turn your corner, you go right into the chain 2 space on the corner and do 2 double crochet, and then chain 2, and then 2 double crochet into the same piece in order to turn, just like that. And so I'm gonna turn it now, so you can see that the first stitch is kind of jumping at me. So that's the first single crochet, it's right in the corner, and now the gap space is next. So continue to do exactly what I've just showed you all the way around, and we'll meet back up and we're gonna do one more level of green, and then this is the end of this particular tutorial at this moment. And sorry about slipping up on my words at that point. So I'll see you in just a sec when we're gonna move on along to round number 8. So I'm just coming up all the way back around, and we're just finalizing the final gap here. And remember, we started off in the corner, so we still have one single crochet left before you get to that moment, and then we just slip stitch to the top here to bring everything together just like so. So a very easy round, and we're gonna move up to the next round at this point. And now let's just single crochet into each double crochet. So we don't chain or anything, we just immediately start single crocheting into each one. So you're gonna single crochet into your first one there, and now you're gonna turn the corner. So to turn the corner, it's a single crochet, chain 2, and then single crochet, just like so. And so we basically just one single crochet into each one of the double crochets on the row underneath. And at this particular point, you just have to go all the way around, very quick, simple, dirty. Very easy. You cannot go any further on the square at this point. We still have a round number 9 to do, but we cannot do it until the rest of the 13 are done and the rest of the small squares are put together into their own square. The round that is round number 9 is the one that will assemble the Afghan together. So that's why everything needs to be done in order to get to that point. So continue to single crochet all the way around with fasten off, call this tutorial quits, and just make 13 of these identical squares just to be ready for your Afghan.